is 2024 a good year to sell your house? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, without looking at the answer, even though I typed it, I don't remember it. I mean, I would say it's always a good time, but we've been stressing on the show way back, even before I took my hiatus, that the market is tightening up. There's low inventory. It is a good time to put your house on the market because of the lack of inventory.
Yeah.
If you have a place to go, but not even.
Right.
I've had to counsel clients too that have that fear of, well, I don't have a place to go. Well, look, you can negotiate to stay in your house longer with the buyers that are coming in. Maybe you do a potential rent back, which is like a bad word, you know.
Yes, the attorneys do not like that concept.
But you don't have to rent back, right? You can just negotiate a longer sale, you know.
Right.
And
That's
the
what we're doing right
buyers
now.
will be happy to at least get an offer accepted, even if it takes 3 or 4 months to close.
Yeah. Out even more. Good morning. All right, trying to get Mike in here. There he is.
Hello.
It's happening.
Oh, it works. What, did you just do like wide angle or something? Or
I put it up higher.
Oh, that makes
I used
sense.
a different, I'm using a different thing. Okay, turn
Yeah,
it
we
around.
can go. Geez.
If I could just move this back a little bit more, I think we're gonna get us all, and nobody's gonna have like fat head.
Please don't give me fat head.
I have fat head because I'm on the edge, right?
You don't
Like,
have
this is
fat
the,
head.
this is fat head picture.
So this is loud.
Oh, all right. I always forget this. So, shall I bring us in and then?
Sure.
All right.
I did write it down.
I love it. Let's write the numbers down.
Oh, right, okay.
And then that's, okay, so that's phone. And then text is. Okay. So now we can,
So we don't mention these, do we?
I don't. I really just say WTBQ
Okay.
because people are already listening to us if they're hearing us.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so how do you open it? What do you talk about? I don't really know if they care.
I just say, welcome to the Real Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig, hosting today with.
But what do you start your conversation with?
Then I say, like, how'd everyone's weekend go? Right? Any exciting real estate stuff going on?
It's busy.
Yeah, see? And that's how we start. All right. We should be coming in about 30 seconds. 30 seconds!
It's so stressful.
It's not stressful. All right. I love that we got us all on the thing. It's not like the mystery voice of Mike from the corner. I said I like that we're getting us all on screen. It's not like you have like the mystery voice from the corner. Well, is this thing gonna stand? Maybe. All right. Make sure you talk into the microphone though.
Did I not last time?
I feel like it took a while. Like you were too far and then you leaned in. It was good. All right. All right, we got the weather going, and
We're all
we'll go
getting
on.
very close here. It's all
I love
good.
it. It's all good.
Oh, we gotta get a picture. Can you screenshot it?
No.
No. Okay. Sorry.
No, I was recording. I'm afraid I'll stop recording.
Okay, real quick.
Yep.
Mike, real quick.
All right. Welcome to the Real Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig, with Keller Williams, hosting today with.
Suzanne Dermody from Howard Hanna Rand Realty.
Nice.
And Mike Mansart with Cross Country Mortgage.
Great. Here we are.
Here we are.
We
So
are here.
Monday morning, nice weekend.
Beautiful Monday morning.
Lots of rain and lots
Right.
of heat over the weekend.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Storms and stuff like that. But this morning was really, really nice. I had my coffee out on the back deck, and it was glorious.
Yeah, no, it's definitely beautiful. It's beautiful today. It's been a tough 10 days, I'd say, of the weather or something like that. 2 weeks maybe. But here we are. We made it through. It's all good.
We made it through.
My neighbor saved me this week because I was away. Well, I was working away, right? Working remotely, but I guess with all this weather, my trees and bushes started to wilt a little bit. My automated sprinklers that I had set up did nothing. So they saved me and watered, saved some of my plants. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's a good neighbor.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Love that. How about business?
I did work. I went to a graduation party. My girlfriend's daughter graduated from high school, and she has this lovely house out in Connecticut, and we really had a wonderful time. This beautiful colonial that they've kept in great shape, and it's just absolutely spectacular. So we went there for Saturday, and then yesterday I worked all day. Like I got home at 8 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy yesterday
Yeah.
during the storm and stuff like that.
I had not one but 2 clients cancel this weekend, so I went from having an exciting weekend to a more relaxed than expected weekend.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but never really a bad thing.
Right.
So,
I know.
let's say it
Especially
what
if the
it is.
weather's nice.
Yeah.
But let's why don't we introduce our topic of the day, which I think is super fun.
Yeah, so we always, of course, we do research. We kind of, always kind of panic and say, oh, what are we going to talk about on the radio show? We've talked about so much, but there's always so much going on in real estate and everything that I just thought, wow, why don't we just hit what are popular topics? And I went online and did a question search. And you know how when you ask a question, there's
Right.
25,000 other questions and answers and everything. So I thought, well, these are all really good questions. So why don't we just kind of pull these, the top ones?
Because if people are Googling them, right, and they're the top searched ones, then probably our listeners probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what they're saying. They're the top search questions online. So we thought that was good.
All right.
All right.
So top real estate questions?
Housing
From
market,
consumers?
yeah,
Okay.
housing market, mortgage, when to sell, when not to sell. So I think it's perfect you're here, actually. I was thinking that yesterday. It's always great when Mike's here. But, everyone's,
Wanting to know what's going on.
everybody wants to know what's going on.
I wish that I knew too.
Yeah, I know. But you have more information than we do.
Yes,
There's
I
no
have
doubt
more of a
about that.
pulse, I guess,
So,
on it, right?
while we're looking at what Google thinks the most asked questions are, if you guys out there in listenerland have questions that you would like to have answered specifically, your burning real estate questions, you can give us a call at 845-651-1110, or you can shoot us a text at 845-328-0886. So again, if you guys have any real estate questions you want us to answer today, reach out and we'll be happy to kind of layer them right in with the Google Top 10.
And truthfully, everybody has a real estate question.
I know they do.
You know what they say, like when you go to a party, like don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics. You can always talk about real estate.
It's the first question I get asked no matter where I am.
Yeah.
I mean, how are mortgages? How's your business? How's the market? It's
Because everybody
literally,
wants to know.
But I feel like I never ask people about their jobs. Like I don't walk in and say, hey, how's your, whatever.
How's investment bank?
How's investment bank here?
Yeah.
But everyone asks me, which I don't mind. It's just
Oh,
fun. I like to be the
no.
resource. But
Yeah.
it is, I'm sure you guys get it so
Oh,
often.
I know,
too,
but you're right. We don't mind because it's such an important pulse of our economy.
Right, and
But it's an important pulse of
people's personal
Yeah,
personal
life.
portfolio
And it's also
as
in
well.
the news constantly, so it's
Yeah.
people have it top of mind every day.
Yeah.
There isn't one day that goes by that I don't see a little thing about real estate or interest rates or the treasury market or whatever. So yeah, that's why I think it's always questioned.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. And to start off with, so this number one question was, will U.S. housing prices go down in 2024? And
Depends
we're
on your market,
we're
I
6
think.
months into it.
Right.
Now we were just having a conversation about Colorado,
Right?
and I really did just have a conversation with another agent a few minutes ago, saying that houses are not selling as quickly, and when that happens, prices kind of hover. I think they're hovering,
So it's interesting. I did just read a year home price
historically speaking.
right.
Yeah.
So from a year ago today. So our trend so far this year has been up.
Right.
But when you look at month over month numbers, those numbers sort of tell a little bit of a different story. It is always interesting when the new stats for the month come out, because you kind of get that, seasonally adjusted year over year number that just kind of talks about the market overall, right? But then you can look at, you can do it a couple different ways. You can look at the rolling 12 months. You can look at this May versus last May.
Right.
You can look at this May versus this April, right? Like there are really, and depending on whether you're looking at that short month over month or the month of this year versus last year versus the rolling, you're going to be able to tell yourself a different story with each of those numbers. And really the goal is to understand enough about what you're looking at to know, okay, what happened in the past year and what's happening right now, and what is that going to tell me about what's happening next month?
Right. Well, let me just read what the experts supposedly say. So they say no. Experts do not think there is a housing market crash looming in 2024. Leading standards are much more strict now lending standards, are much more strict now than they were during the Great Recession. And with low inventory and high demand both continuing, the housing market is not likely to enter a recession in the coming year. I want to ask Mike a question.
Sure.
Do you think, okay, so obviously 2004, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, lending practices were slippery. Way back then.
They were much different.
Yeah, they were much different.
Because there was a different buyer for
the market.
mortgage-backed security.
Right,
So
right.
what happened in that time period was the stock market and investment bankers were creating mortgage products because they could, and there was a desire for those mortgage products, right? They were saying, hey, we have money, create a mortgage product, we'll buy it from you. And that's what happened. That's why you had all these one-off products that were being created, because there was a demand for them. That demand is zero now. You really don't have a one-off product. Maybe some people are taking ARMs, which as long as I've been
adjustable rate mortgages, right?
As long as I've been doing it, it does benefit consumers, but the fear is, what if things stay the same, right? Then you have an adjustable mortgage, and if rates don't fall like they're anticipated to, then you're at risk of adjusting when that period's over. So I don't see a lot of clients taking advantage of them, because not many banks really offer them because of that risk, I think. But no, we're nowhere near what we were. To that article's point, lending guidelines are much tighter than they were. Our no income loans are just that. They're based on the asset, meaning like what you could rent that property for, and good credit. So we're not giving no income loans to people with a 500 credit score. It's just not realistic. And the other loans that are out there are just designed to help consumers, which are not necessarily no income, but it's not W-2. So we'll do bank statement loans. We can see 12 months of your bank statements, 24 months of your business bank statements. Those are creative products to get people into houses. Those are not liar loans. They're not like the no income, no assets, I have a heartbeat.
No doc.
Yeah, no doc. These are still tight guidelines to get in houses. And the only reason these products are there are to help consumers buy houses, because these were not offered. For a period of time, we didn't even have bank statement loans. We went from throwing money at people to over tightening, and then the loosening of that was in stages. So it was very trickle, and now we have a lot more products for people, but not as risky.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I always feel bad, because people who are just starting to look for a house and they want to get a pre-approval, they get kind of anxious when they ask for so much information. But it's like, listen, this is what they need. They need this stuff, and it's not just you; it's everybody the same.
There's a fear that people don't want to hear no, right? So they're fearful that if they apply and they hear no, then they think that they're dead in the water. But we are, if anything, we are helpers, right? So we can tell you what you can qualify or not qualify. But if you can't today, let's put you in like a system that allows you to qualify in the future. So
and help you, figure that out. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. All right.
I got some decent stats about lending that I pulled up on an article today I can fire off too.
Great.
Related, not like kind of related to that.
Yeah, really.
Oh wow, you're a sponsor now.
Commercial, there it is. My commercial.
And they took it from the old commercial.
So, if there was something like putting the market at risk, how do you think like commercial lending, right? The exposure that banks have to commercial loans over the past decade with what's going on, like a lot of those loans coming due, like do you think that there is that is adding some inherent risk into the market?
To banks, yes.
To banks,
not to like retail lenders like us as much, but to big banks, yeah, absolutely.
That's
and regional banks, yeah.
I didn't hear the question. What were you saying?
All those loans are going to adjust that are probably in a favorable interest rate that was from 3-4 years ago. Those commercial loans are adjustable. You're not getting 30-year fixed commercial loans.
Well, and then I even hear like people, like there are a lot of companies that can't pay their commercial loans because
There's no tenants in there.
Yeah. and they've been like banks have been giving them extended time so as not to have to foreclose and
That's all scary. What's
take
going on with the
take
cities.
houses or take buildings that they're not going to be able to rent out
Yeah,
either.
they don't want them.
I don't know how that's going to impact their lending standards. I don't think it's going to have a huge impact on like housing versus,
Right.
but it will, whenever a bank's in trouble, what are they going to do? They're going to tighten. So it's going to impact consumers in that. Like you're not going to, I don't know what the bank's exposure is, but if they're a huge exposure, they're going to pull back all of their lending. It's not just going to be commercial.
Right.
Scary times.
Afterward, can you do that, please?
Yes, dear.
Thank you. It's my voiceover.
And he's signaling us. You want to do the next one?
Sure.
I do love this.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig with Keller Williams, licensed in New York and New Jersey, hosting today with
Suzanne Dermody with Howard Hanna Rand Realty, and I am licensed in the great state of New York.
the great state. I hear you on that.
Yep.
And Mike Van Mantar with Cross Country Mortgage. On that news, though, since I brought up the company, we just became the #1 retail lender in the country
Wow.
last
Oh,
year.
wow.
Yeah, so that is
Congratulations.
good news for us. They did a ton of recruiting,
Yep.
I guess, and
That's great.
now we're #1.
Wow.
So it is good.
Yeah, congratulations on that. And the name of your company again is?
Cross Country Mortgage.
Okay, good. Great.
Listen, I know that you are a great lender, period, mortgage broker, but it's nice you guys do have a lot of products and systems that make, from my perspective, when I'm working with clients through you, it's always so smooth, and so I really appreciate that.
We try, I mean, that's kind of the idea, right? A big machine we just try to dial into and hopefully deliver the best service possible.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the idea.
There you go.
So, all right, we're kind of going through Google's top 10 real estate asked
Right?
questions.
Isn't that fun?
Right, it is fun. So our second question is 2024 a good year to sell your house? What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, without looking at the answer, even though I typed it, I don't remember it. I mean, I would say it's always a good time, but we've been stressing on the show way back, even before I took my hiatus, that the market is tightening up. There's low inventory. It is a good time to put your house on the market because of lack of inventory.
Yeah.
If you have a place to go, but not even.
Right.
I've had to counsel clients too that have that fear of, well, I don't have a place to go. Well, look, you can negotiate to stay in your house longer with the buyers that are coming in. Maybe you do a potential rent back, which is like a bad word,
Yes, the attorneys do not like that
yeah,
concept.
but you don't have to rent back, right? You can just negotiate a longer sale,
Right.
Right.
And
That's
the
what we're doing right
buyers
now.
will be happy to at least get an offer accepted, even if it takes 3 or 4 months to close.
Yeah.
So with that, I think one of the clients that was reluctant, she finally listed. She's getting way over the list price,
Right.
which is, kind of what we were coaching her on
Right.
and saying, hey, stop focusing on the number, get it listed, or you'll never know what the number is. And now that the number is, she's getting way over list, she's now looking at other houses that weren't even on her radar.
Right, it opened the
before.
door to
Yeah,
more
it opened the door.
inventory.
So these are the conversations. We're becoming more counselors, I'm sure. And I've been telling people the worst. What's going to hurt you a list? You can take it off the market if nothing happens, right? Like it's not the end of the world. I know the realtors don't like to hear that, but at the end of the day, it's better to know the number and then kind of go work around that type of thing.
Well, the other thing is I had heard, obviously people are holding back from listing because they're in a lower interest rate and they don't want to make that leap. But I've read so many times, don't worry about the interest rate. You can always refinance if when they go back down to a lower numbers, whether or not it's going to be down in the 2s and 3s, but you can always go back down. Focus on getting the house for the right price.
And if it's something you need, like there's a reason you want to sell, right? What is that desire to sell? Oh, well, I need an extra bedroom. I'm having a new child. I want to be in a different school district. Okay, so if those are your needs, who cares about the rate?
Yeah,
if
that's
you
how
can
I feel.
afford the payment.
Right.
People focus on the rate. What's the payment? Okay, the payment's X amount. Does it accomplish a need? Yes. Okay. What's the question? That's what you have to get out of people's head.
I agree with that. 'Cause why would you hold your life up?
Yeah.
That's how I feel. You know.
And,
To save 3%,
right, and not only that, when you sell your house, there's been this bump in equity. It's not like you're buying, prices of homes have gone up, and so, if you're stepping up, you feel like this is a huge number, but you're also getting a good number on your house.
Yeah.
So it's not like your loan is going to be this full amount, unless you need that cash for something else. And then again, you're getting the benefit of that money that you've been able to build in the equity of your home.
Right, buying high, selling high, buying high, selling high, buying high,
Yeah.
selling low, buying low. It's the
Yeah.
same thing, right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
We hold on to stuff that's intangible. Like the rate is the rate, right? I mean, I was selling 7% mortgages when they were 7%. Well, they are now, but I mean, even back
The
in
last
the day,
time
yeah,
they
the
were
last time
7%.
around.
How old are you now?
I'm 41.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's cycles, right?
Yeah.
And we were
Everything's a
selling them
cycle.
back then, and it wasn't. People weren't pushing back. It's just we teased them with this low rate, which is not realistic. It will never come back. I can't expect it to get
Yeah,
that
I
low
don't
again.
think
It's
so
free
either.
money. But again, it comes out, what's your need? What's your desire? Does this accomplish that? Who cares about the rate? Focus on the payment. Can you afford it? Can redo the rate down the road.
Yeah, our first rate was 8%. We were thrilled.
Right.
Over the moon. So
Yeah.
excited. First house, life was starting for us. Children, the whole 9 yards. I wasn't going to let an interest rate hold me back.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So that's how we feel.
Rent is 100% interest. 100.
Right,
That's
right.
all I
That's a
gotta
good
say.
way of putting it.
So
Oh my gosh, that's powerful.
yeah, it's true though. It's 100% true.
Anyway, so the official word on the street for this question, which is 2024 a good year to sell your house, says projections suggest a seller's market in 2024. Yes, we're aware. Thanks to a still tight supply of homes and unflagging demand, ideal for selling at peak pricing.
So there you go.
Yeah, and a lot of these answers are national answers, right?
Right.
But real estate is local, so these answers, if they didn't apply to us here, we would have, doctored them up to make sure that they do.
Yeah.
But it is true for right now here, we are definitely at peak pricing. And I know that in different parts of the country there has been a softening. So when people ask to project out, I always like to look around what's going on in other parts of the country because it's an indicator of what could be happening here as well.
Right, we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
I always think as California goes, we eventually get there. So that's how I feel. I've just kind of always picked up on that.
Right.
But I think that we are kind of, houses are sitting a little longer, whether they're not selling on day one. I was busy all weekend and I would notice,
There are plenty of houses to show.
and not only houses, I showed a rental yesterday. It was 118 days on the market.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, this rental is spectacular. Not overpriced, beautiful, furnished if you want it, not furnished if you don't want it. And I say to my tenants, I don't know why it's still available.
Right.
Pictures are great, price is great. I have no idea. So we'll see. We put an application in, so we'll see what
All right.
happens. But-
Fingers crossed for you on that.
yeah, no, thanks. So the next question is kind of a loaded question. We're really happy, as always, when Michael is here. So what will the mortgage rates be through 2024?
I think they're going to stay relatively flat. They're, expecting maybe one rate reduction in September now, I think. But what people don't understand is when the Fed drops rates, it's not really a direct impact on mortgages. It's a direct impact to consumers and, credit cards and
right.
things like that. But what it triggers and what the reason rates actually fall is because lending overall becomes a little bit cheaper, and now banks can borrow from the Fed cheaper. So it does
Trickle down.
It does trickle down. But what it creates is the perception that the economy is kind of, I don't want to say cracking, but it's a little bit, it's cooling off.
Right.
And that's what reduces rates. So if the Fed signals a reduction, you're guaranteed to see rates fall. Even when we get news that comes out where the economy, the CPI data is lower than expected or something like that, that all is beneficial for rates, even though the Fed has not changed rates at all, right? So
okay.
yeah, it does. We'll have news come out and rates will drop that day, and that's a good day to lock. And then, or rates will skyrocket, and there's usually a pullback. So it's hard. A lot of my clients right now are floating. We don't anticipate rates going up, so we're trying to play the market. Like, hey, if they drop a little bit, let's lock it. I don't want to put your money at risk that they're going to go up, but right now the market's indicating that they're not really going to go anywhere.
Okay.
So I think they're going to be flat.
Yeah.
And when you say flat, just means
like
They are what
within
they
the
are.
range, yeah.
Right.
I don't think if they're 7 today, maybe they go to 7 1/8 or 6.875. But overall flat. It's not going to.
Right, within a quarter of a
Yeah,
point.
within a quarter of a point, it's going to be the kind of this way for a little while.
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I mean, I think
Stability
that's
is
why.
a good thing.
Well, I think that's also why you're seeing now listings come out. The sellers and
Right.
buyers have digested that rates are
Right.
going to stay what they are. And they're kind of saying, well, I'm still throwing money away. Or the seller's like, well, I still need a new house. So let's just list it and move on. So I think that's why you're seeing some more inventory pick
Yeah, I
up.
agree with that.
So next question, should I sell now or wait till 2025?
Are you looking at me?
I mean, again, so you never know what's coming down the pike. And we're not sitting here trying to look for business. We literally just went into this Google search and these questions came up.
Yeah.
And this is what people are asking. I mean, the answer is, you want to read it or you want me to read it?
So you can read it.
Well, it just says strong seller's market. Experts predict a continued seller's market in early 2024, which we've seen, but with potential shifts later in the year. And I have to admit that. I
Right.
do feel that.
I feel the shift
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So
in what sense?
meaning, so I was not active, busy at all. I mean, I know, Christine, you were a little bit more, you've been busy and stuff like that.
Yes, but I've slowed down now, which happens in the summer a lot
Yeah,
of times
yeah.
anyway.
But now I've seen a little small uptick.
Okay.
Yeah, so which I'm very thankful for. I mean, I'm 21 years. How many years are you doing this?
15.
Yeah, so we're both very seasoned real estate agents,
Yep.
and we understand the pulse and feel the pulse. When there's a shift, it's like, you can feel it.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
To me, I'm looking like things that I see, like for a while there, it didn't matter what you put your home at as on the market, right? If it was a high number, someone was still going to come by and buy it. And now I am seeing homes sitting longer, right? And so inventory is creeping up. I've been seeing a lot of price reductions. But I think that is what's bringing out the buyers, is they're feeling like, okay, I think maybe we're starting to reach a tipping point. I know that I've had a couple conversations with clients thinking of listing, and they want to maximize. They're like, well, should we wait a year, or do we need to list now, or like, what do you think the market's going to do? And I said, I say to them what I would say to everyone else. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow, but I can tell you what I'm seeing here, which is slightly longer days on market and some more price adjustment. That indicates to me that we're kind of plateauing with prices, and
also going to a more normal market.
which would be great.
Balance.
Yeah, because I remember when
Which we're not in yet. It's still a seller's market.
Oh no,
but-
it's still a seller's market. But when I first got my license back in 02, 03, I mean, you were ramping up to
Yeah,
the
you were
05,
doing-
06 kind
Right.
of craziness. But your normal market is, if you look up a house, for the most part, it's still available, as long as it's not on the market 6 months. And it's most houses we're still available. Your buyer would send you 25 homes,
right.
and 24 would still be available. Now your buyer sent you 25 homes and none are available,
Right.
or
six
or a couple-
six of them are, but
right, a couple weeks ago, yeah. So, but it's definitely shifting, and I'm not against that. I don't think that's a bad thing.
It's
No,
gonna help.
correct. And I,
Yeah.
I do think that we're at the point, if people really want to make sure they're going to lock in whatever top equity they could get, I do think now is a good time to be listing your home. As a,
And we do always say that,
we do, but
right.
right,
And we're
'cause
not trying to sell.
because we don't have crystal balls, but all we can do is really read the market the best we can with the information we have right now.
Right, and I do get concerned when people say, should I wait till next year? Because talking about the crystal ball thing, I'm always afraid to say, oh yeah, wait till I don't know what's happening next year. We have
Right.
no idea what's happening. I just know what's going on right now.
Correct. Correct.
So
I agree.
that's where we're at.
So we're gonna take a
Ooh.
quick break and hear from our sponsors.
Breaking news.
I know, what's happening?
So yeah, the
Let's hear. Well, it's like, when you do it used to be like 10 years ago, or maybe now 20 years ago, it was probably before September 11th. When you heard that sound, you thought, oh, what's going on?
Right.
Like, what's going on in the world? Now, it's so common. Radio stations and TV stations have,
well, the 24-hour news cycle has made
Yeah.
made like everything have to be, big news. It's like big news,
I know, I know.
car accident.
I
right?
know.
Okay.
Cow crossing roads. Like, wait, what?
We have nothing to talk about right now, so
I
let's
know.
do
I know.
that.
It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, so I've just turned it off.
Yeah.
There's no more news listening in my
No,
my
I
world. I just
know,
can't do it.
I
It's
know.
I
all
watch CNBC like that. I don't watch the news, but
Yeah,
CNBC,
that's business
yeah,
news.
it's business news.
I'm such a talk radio person. Like, I'm almost 16 hours a day listening to talk radio. Like, well, we're in our car a lot.
we are. I got to tell you, do you know what I listen to in the car a lot? Absolutely nothing.
Oh, I know.
I've been doing
I
podcasts
just-
a lot.
Oh,
more.
I love
Yeah.
podcasts
I just
also.
need, sometimes like with the noise of like the house and the kids and right when I get in the car, it's like my time to focus and like actually think about things.
Yeah.
And so I just
Zen.
well just
Zen Christine.
Zen. It's not even Zen. It's just like okay, let me get my thoughts together, right? Because I can like actually have the time to put 4 of them in a row and be like, oh, okay, this happened. I have to do this. What do I need to do it? Okay, I got to get these 3 things. Here's my list of things to do. Okay, I just did what I couldn't accomplish in 3 hours in my house.
Yeah, I have been doing like retirement podcasts and really interesting stuff.
Oh, you know what?
Market.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I kind of a guest I'd love to have on here is like a retirement planner.
I'll get one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I think we need to do that.
Yeah, I love
Let's
that.
do it one time when we're on together.
I would love that. Okay.
Is it Ryan? Is that who you use? Oh.
No. I listen to this guy. A podcast you're talking about?
No, the guy who you would bring on.
I would, whoever you suggest.
Oh, yeah. There's this guy Ryan at Edward Jones. He's
Local?
local. Yeah, he's local. Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Christine Koenig, with Keller Williams, right here in Warwick and Chester.
Beautiful Warwick, right?
Beautiful downtown Warwick.
Yeah. And I'm Suzanne Durham with Howard Hanna Rand Realty, and we're here with Mike.
And Mike Mansard with Cross Country Mortgage.
So let's do the thing where we tell people how to get in touch with us.
Sure.
So Mike, you start.
I don't know. Oh, how to get in touch with me?
Yes,
All
how
right.
to get in touch with us. I don't know.
845-239-6565 or MikeVanMansart.com.
Cute. And mine's Suzanne Germany, and my cell is 845-742-3644. I'm really good with text.
Yeah.
That's my go-to, just because it's like right in front of my face, so it's all good. You can email me, but texting is really better.
All right, and you can find me, Christine Koenig, at listwithchrisk.com, and that's Chris with a C, so CHRISK.com.
All right.
All right, so good. We are talking today about, some top real estate related questions people type into the Google search.
Right. So they're starting to sound kind of repetitive.
Well, let me fire off some statistics from lenders. How's
Oh,
that?
I love that.
They questioned a bunch of lenders, the top lenders in the country. They did a survey. They asked, I don't have the questions, but I'll just read what their responses were. It says, at the end of the survey, we asked several lenders how they gauge their opinion of the market, and their response was overwhelmingly optimistic. Every single lender said they expected their business to perform the same or better in the next 6 months. 88% said they expect business to improve. 12% expect similar performance, and 0 lenders expected things to get worse.
Oh, wow.
So that's good. Do they plan on hiring? 86% of lenders said they did plan on hiring and recruiting in the next 6 months, and 14% said maybe. That's all good news I know that realtors, obviously this business suffered a lot with tightening inventory and there's been an exodus of just people in this business, realtors, lenders. It's probably been tougher for lenders than realtors because our margin compression has gone down so much because rates have stayed in this window for so long. So in truth, lenders lose money on loans when they write them. They're making it up on the servicing end. That's why you're not seeing as many lender credits being offered because they're just not there. Mm-hmm. So this is optimistic for lenders. What was it? The other statistic here was the top mortgage lenders closed 1.87 million loans worth $623 billion last year. 85% were purchase loans. So that's, our business right there. And Yeah.
And that's in comparison to refi loans. Is that
Correct,
right?
yeah, so-
Not a lot of people refinancing into higher rates.
Nope, unless they need the cash. Because with rates going up, credit card rates have gone up, right?
Yeah.
So they're 21%. I don't care if you have a 3% mortgage, if you have a 21% interest credit card with 50 grand on it, you're throwing money away by not refinancing.
Right,
And
that makes
getting rid of
sense.
that, yeah. It's silly that people chase the low rate they don't want to get rid of, but they'll carry compounding interest on a credit card that's 21%. So, I mean, really need to educate people on finances, not just shop around for rate. It's not always about the rate, it's about long-term wealth, right? So, and how to deliver that. So yeah, that looks optimistic.
Yeah, it's good information,
Listen.
definitely.
I love optimistic. I know that, oh, by the way, let's give out our phone number again, just in case you guys have real estate questions we're not talking about today. Our phone number is 845-651-1110. Call in, or you can text your questions to 845-328-0886. One of the things we were talking about before, because a lot of our questions really are about should I sell now? How's the market looking? How are rates looking? Are we going to see 3% rates again, which we talked about earlier, saying not likely.
Probably
so,
never, yeah.
Not bloody likely.
That's correct.
Stay in London.
If that's what you're waiting for, it's going to be a very, very, very long way.
And imagine if rates do hit 3, the houses are going to go up 20% a year again, like
Yeah.
they were. So people chase that low number, but if rates fall like they're anticipated, so prices are going to go up. There's going to be more buyers in the market again. Same
Right.
thing we ran into, a few years ago.
So, but one of the things we were talking about over break, 2 breaks ago, was the commercial market.
Yes.
Which I think is an interesting thing to talk about because, banks are kind of what caused the market to do a lot of the things that happened to it, right? And so when banks are at risk, right, the industry becomes volatile and everybody is collateral on
Yes.
that, right? So, one of the things I read about a lot has to do with commercial real estate, commercial loans, right? And the people who own those buildings, because they're not getting the rents they used to, especially in office space. These guys having trouble paying their loans back and what banks are doing about it and what really the big economic risk is to that, not only nationwide, but really worldwide, because
It's a big factor.
it's a big factor. So what are your thoughts on that, Mike?
I'm not a commercial expert by any means, but I do think that most commercial loans, they're not fixed for 30 years like
Right.
a residential mortgage. So the interest rates that people got on commercial lending when the Fed had rates at 0 are going to adjust at some point in the near future.
Yikes.
So you're taking, if you use 3%, which I don't think commercial loans are ever at, but let's just use it as an example. If those were at 3% and now they're going to be at 7 when they adjust, that's going to be a problem. What's worse though, because of what you're mentioning about not having them rented,
Right, the vacancy rate.
Yeah, the vacancy rate is when a bank, when it adjusts, the owner of that property would want to refinance. Well, if you don't have tenants, you're not going to be able to refinance because you don't have an income producing property.
Right.
So it makes them stuck because your bank's commercial banking is based on rent roll. It's not based on, hey, this house, obviously it's based on worth, but the majority of it is, hey, I can get 10 tenants in here, they can pay me $10,000 a month. Here's what I'm willing to lend you based on that. When you have 8 tenants not there and you only have 2, and you go to refi, you're underwater, the bank's gonna say, we can't lend you money, you can't pay us back.
Right.
So they're stuck in the adjustable rates that are now gonna be much, much higher than what they started with. And it's like this catch-22.
You do see, I know locally and in the city, people converting commercial space to rental. Like, so if you have an office building, I know in Goshen, you can have residential on the top, that all know that. And people are doing that.
You're seeing a shift to what banks want too. The commercial lenders, they prefer retail space down on the
Right.
bottom floor and then residential up top because the residential will always rent. There's
Right.
always going to be someone that needs an apartment. So that works.
And that's happening in Manhattan also.
Yeah. So there, and even
Right.
when you go to apply for a commercial or what can it rent for, they really don't want the retail space as much, or they don't want it to be retail heavy because those people are going to suffer if the economy shifts like it's supposed to.
Yeah, but, you know, it's with some of that though. There are zoning issues with turning commercial residential. There's
sure.
there's an expense because, you know, depending on what kind of commercial it was, you know, there can be environmental issues or like that you wouldn't naturally be able to just say, oh, look, this was an office and it's got 3 bathrooms on this floor, so I can make 3 apartments here pretty easy. Like it's not as easy as that to make that shift.
Right. Well, I know that's what they're doing in Manhattan. I know locally, I've had a couple of my clients just make the second floor residential.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I mean, how does that impact though our business? Like our buyers, your
Yeah.
sellers, your buyers? I mean, the commercial side is that these regional banks and bigger banks that have that on their books, they're going to tighten overall. If they're losing money in one section of their business, they're going to tighten in the other section to avoid losses there, or they're going to raise rates to make up for losses over here. So there's going to be some type of shift that happens, and it won't be as, you know, like it won't be as bad as people think it will be, but there will be some trickle over into the residential market. You just can't escape it because banks, insurance companies always make money, right? They always protect themselves. And that's what you're going to see. So they're going to tighten one section. I think that's going to lead to a little bit of tightening on the other side.
And we do have a lot of apartment buildings going up. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
At least in Orange County.
Like rental apartments.
Units.
Units.
Units, yep.
I mean, I know where I live, we have over by the golf club, they built that whole huge complex.
Yeah.
To the right of me is a whole 4-building complex going up. And they're renting them.
Yeah.
You know, pre-renting before they're even
I mean,
finished.
we have that new place in Warwick. I don't know if it's sold through or not, or rented through, I guess you
Right.
would say, that is on South Street.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it went up, it feels like overnight, but there's tons of
South
units.
Street or is that Forester?
I think it's
Forester,
Forester. Yeah, I think it's
you're right,
Forester. Yeah, I
Forester,
saw
yeah.
it. It's under construction. I saw it yesterday. Yeah.
Well, there's one under construction. That's retail space. There's
Oh,
the one
okay.
that's just been completed. That's in front of like the mechanical rubber facility across from
okay.
Waitson's
Yeah.
in that area. And you know they still have some availability there, but you
That
know
went
they're
quick,
renting.
yeah.
So
We need it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, you can see that shift, to getting apartments versus some type of commercial space, because that's what banks want.
it's because we have we've had
We've had a need,
we've
yeah.
had this inventory crunch for so long, and towns are now making I guess concessions maybe in zoning and things like that to
Right.
get some of those properties.
As they should. I mean, that was such vacant space for so long,
Yeah.
and then even where you're talking about by the firehouse, where the retail space is going up, that's sat for years. There's nothing there. I'd
Is the
rather-
whole? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No worries.
Is the whole building retail or is the second
I
floor?
don't know.
Is it
I
going to
don't
be
know what they're
residential?
gonna do.
I like all the signs I see are
So
talking
future
about retail space
Yeah, okay, I'm
or
interested.
commercial space, but I didn't see any mention of residential. Although when you're looking at it be built, you're like, oh, second floor would make nice apartments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
They'll probably squeeze something.
I bet you they do. It's just what they're doing. So okay, all right. On to the next. We have more?
We do, but we're gonna get ready to listen to our sponsors in just a few seconds, and then when we come back, we can go ahead and finish talking about our critical questions.
I'm so impressed with you.
I only just look at the clock.
Yeah, but you know what time?
I do.
And what time is this? So 10:44.
It's like 10:15, 10:30, 10:45.
10:15. Oh, well, on the okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you want to? How do you want to end the last one?
Let's.
Well,
So-
it's gonna be cheaper. Market crashes.
By the way, did Rand put out their firework thing?
oh, I didn't bring it.
You think
What's
you
it
can pull
called?
it up? I don't know. My phone is there, so I can't.
What's it called? It's called.
Seasonal events guide. Because that might be a good one to like round out because as we're coming into the weekend.
I know. Orange County. I mean,
Let's see what we got here.
what are we?
No, this isn't.
Of course, California. So what did he say? Or OrangeCountyGov.gov. That's what Steve Newhouse just said.
Keep going. Recreation, maybe? Go to work. I don't know if it's
I
recreation.
think that's more sporting stuff.
Mm. If you go to your email and search seasonal events guide,
I don't think you sent it out yet.
oh, it seems like that's a little late.
Do it July 1.
Right.
After half the fireworks are already done. You type in the word fireworks, see if it came in instead of seasonal
Right, hold
events
on.
guide.
I mean, I don't have to talk about it. We can just talk about other ones.
I know.
That's Fly Magazine, This Morning.
Oh, there we go. Where to watch. That's what we want. Hello and welcome back to the Real Real Estate Show. I am your host, Christine Koenig, hosting today with
Suzanne Dermody with Howard Hanna Rand Realty.
And Mike Van Mansart with Cross Country Mortgage.
All right. So, as we are wrapping up our Google questions of the week, the last ones that really kind of came up would be, will housing be cheaper if the market crashes? And, you know, I think we, again, kind of touched on what that might be like, which is if the market crashes, housing will be cheaper. And so if you don't own a home, that might be a good time to get in there. At the same time, if you do own a home, you know, your house is going down at the same time that other
And nobody
prices
wants
are
a
going
market
down.
crash,
I don't
totally.
think we're gonna.
I know. I don't think so either. I'm just reading the questions that people
no, I
ask
know.
Google.
Oh no, I know. But people are concerned about it.
Right.
But we just don't see that coming.
Right. No. I mean, I don't see that. People, you know, there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of years about, you know, is there going to be a recession, a soft landing, all these things.
Right.
But economic indicators have been very strong.
Yeah, no, I agree. And people got into houses that were affordable. They didn't overstretch for the most
Right.
part, you know,
Right.
and their companies are still hiring. So the only way you'll really see a market crash is if we have terrible unemployment start happening,
Right.
which we're not going to get near. I think there's a need for employees here, and people are still hiring, although it's not as much as they used to be. They're still working. So I think that we're fine.
Yeah. No, it's. I agree that we have a lot of still have strong market indicators. We still have lack of inventory, and you know, I don't see people being laid off from their jobs. You know, I see people choosing to get different jobs, right? But I mean, that's always
Right.
the story, right?
Yeah, I think that if anything, what buyers can do right now is try to you don't have to negotiate a lower price if the market or the house has been sitting, but if you want to help with affordability, negotiate those buy downs, like where you can do a 3, 2, or 1% buy down on your mortgage. So
Right.
instead of taking 12 grand off the top, you just have a $12,000 buy down that gives you a 2% lower interest. I'm using 12,000 as an example, like
Yeah,
round
explain it
but-
to me again.
so if rates are 7 today, you could do a temporary buy down, which the seller contributes to. So the seller gives you $12,000 to reduce your interest
As
rate
a concession
as
or
a
credit.
concession.
Right.
So now you go to 5%, let's say, and then that's the
Through
first year.
points.
Well, no, it's not through points. You can buy points, which is different than a buy down. It sounds kind of the same, but a temporary buy down is taking a rate that's 7, which is 30-year fixed, and you're temporarily making it 5%.
Oh, okay.
And the way you're doing that is the seller's contributing to an escrow account. So your payment as a buyer is still 7, but every
Wow.
month $500 comes out
Oh,
of
wow.
that escrow account to make your rate 5%. And that is your money, so that if rates do fall to 5% in a year and you refinance, let's say there's $6,000 still sitting in that escrow, that's yours. So it comes back to you in an escrow disbursement or a principal balance reduction. That's a better way to negotiate than it is to take 12 grand off the top, because 12 grand off the top of that is not going to maybe reduce your payment $50, you know, versus a $500 savings, which is much more valuable. And then, yeah, I mean, when rates fall, you refi to that 30-year fix.
Right.
That's at a lower rate instead of the 7 that it's at.
And just out of curiosity, is that $12,000 that the seller gave you, does that come off the price, or does that come from? Does that come off the price of the house, or?
Well, if you use let's say the listing price is $412, but the house has been sitting for, I don't know, 2 months, right? Well, you say seller, hey, I'll give you $412, but I want you to net $400, meaning
Okay,
they
right,
walk away with
So,
$412.
right, I'll give you 400. Right, I'll,
Yeah,
I'll
so-
give you 400, but I want to finance the 412.
Yeah, and that 12 grand goes into a kitty, and
Okay.
it's to be used.
All right, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that.
I've
before.
done a lot of them.
Wow.
If the seller's willing
Yeah,
to
I just had a
agree-
client
yeah.
post one of those with
Yep.
you.
And it makes more sense. Her client had a target payment that they did not want to go over. And I said, there's no way to get your payment there unless you do this. And that's what we did. And so it made sense for him, it made sense for the sellers, and it was a win-win. So now they have a super low interest rate for a couple of years. And when the market shifts, they can refinance, or they just keep their 30-year fix that it is as it is and continue to make those payments. But then hopefully the idea is like 2 to 3 years, you're in a better financial position. Maybe your kids are not, paying for daycare, whatever the
Right,
scenario
and what is
is.
that type of loan called?
It's a traditional loan, like a 30-year fixed loan, but it's called a 2-1 buy down.
2-1
So there's
buy
a
down,
3,
okay.
3-2-1, 2-1, and a 1-1.
Now, I have a client that might facilitate them and help them.
It makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I would do it if I were buying a house and there was an option to negotiate. It would be
Right.
100% would be what I would try to negotiate off of taking money off the top. I'd
Okay,
rather
cool.
a super low interest rate.
Okay, great. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Look at that advice from advice from the mortgage guy.
Right,
I
right.
love it.
What
So
other questions are left, or
We
did we
keep
go
them
through them
around.
all?
I think we finished the Google questions. But you know what? Question I do get a lot is when I have someone who maybe doesn't have great credit, but they're working on it. Right? They want to buy. What advice can we give to someone who either doesn't quite have enough down payment yet, or their credit's not quite right? Like, what advice are we giving to first-time home buyers in this market?
To boost credit or get ready? Just to get
Let's
ready.
say get ready.
Okay. To get ready, you want all your ducks in a row. You want to have as little debt as possible, because every debt that you have is going to be counted against you in what we call a debt to income ratio. So the idea would be to have as little debt as possible. If you're having trouble with credit, what you want to do is look at what's holding your credit back. And if it's old charge-offs and stuff like that, there's not much we can do with those, but you want to reestablish new credit. So if you have a credit card, like let's say Capital One, and your limit's 1,000 and you owe 990, that's one that you want to pay off because it's going to boost your score. Or go out and establish new credit. So let's say you made mistakes like everyone did when they got their first credit card, spent a bunch of money, barely paid the bills, their credit went to 500, and then now they're making up for it. Well, the best thing to do with that is the old credit, the bad credit's already done its damage. Now you want to establish new credit that's positive. Open a secured credit card, maybe take out a personal loan from a local bank where like it's $1,000 and you pay it for a few months. Those are all triggers that will boost your credit score. And in terms of prepping for down payment, that's the hardest thing, I think, because we're asking you to pay down your debts to zero, right, to boost your score, but then we also need to save money for the down payment. There's tons of programs, down payment assistance, like we have Sony May loans, which offer down payment assistance. Jersey has some crazy, I don't even know the caps on it, like $25,000 you can get from the state of New Jersey to help you get into a house.
Yeah.
We have our Community Promise loan, which is like $6,500 that we can contribute. So there's all these different programs available. You may not qualify for all of them, but we can at least look, right? Because a lot of them are income capped. So, certain pockets of this area, you can't make over a certain amount of money to qualify for some of these down payment assistance.
And I try to convey to people how important your credit score is.
It is now more than ever.
Yeah, it's paramount.
When I used to, even 7-8 years ago, when you had a 680 score, it was okay. You were still getting a pretty reasonable rate with reasonable mortgage insurance. Now, realistically, like a 702 is not even a great credit score these days for banks, and it sounds good, but with conventional pricing, it's just not as aggressive as FHA would be in that same scenario, but no one's taking FHA. I shouldn't say no one. Sellers don't want to hear FHA. They want conventional. So that is a shift. Really right now, and this is not to deter anyone because we have ways to boost your credit through the process, but like a 740 is kind of where you want to be with minimum for any type of 3% down if you're over the income thresholds. Like some of the first-time homebuyer programs that are not credit-driven, you have to make under a certain amount of money, and then you don't get what we call loan-level price adjustments, which is just hits to the interest rate.
Right. I mean, I say it's like your thumbprint.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely tightened with that, with the credit scores. There, you can still get a loan. Like, that hasn't tightened in that you can still qualify for a conventional loan with a 621 credit score, but your rate's not going to be that great, or your mortgage insurance is going to be super high.
Right.
So that's when the FHA and these other loans come into play, but fortunately not many people want to take those in this market because the houses are older. In a different market, like where the houses are brand new, all day long you can do FHA. There should be no reason why it wouldn't pass.
So if somebody has like a 620 credit score, what would you say time-wise is to up it? Like 6 months, a year?
It depends on what's holding them down. We have a program called Wayfinder, which we can run with our credit, and it'll tell us, hey, Mike, if you do these 3 things, the score will go up 25 points. It's like 90% accurate if you do these things. The hardest part is getting the people to do it,
Right,
you know?
right.
But yeah,
Learned
like,
behavior.
yeah, and then in the process, like it, you know, for the most part, it takes 30 to 60 days to close on a house, right? I mean, banks can really do it in 10 days, but we obviously can't get certain stuff in 10 days. So that time period, we can boost your score, can rerun the credit, and we can use the higher score for pricing. So that's the idea. Don't let it deter you,
Right.
but definitely work on it.
Right, and keep your focus on it, because I mean that's what I always tell people, like just young kids, you know,
Don't forget to pay your bills.
Don't forget to pay your bills, pay them ahead of time, do whatever you can, because your credit score is so important for you.
Yeah, and on the credit score, people always fear that their score is going to go down by running it, right? We do soft credit pulls for 9 out of 10 people in the beginning,
wow.
so it doesn't hurt their credit at all. Even if you do a hard inquiry with a bank, it's really not supposed to drop your score. Maybe it goes down 3 or 4 points. It's when you start running it consecutively for different types of credit. So if you apply for a bank loan, then you go for a car loan, then a credit card. Those are different types of inquiries that
Right,
will drop
that
your
makes
score.
sense.
Yeah. So we always do soft credit pulls, and for the most part, I won't do, because a soft credit pull is going to give me all the data that a hard one will do. It just won't show us an inquiry on your credit, which is great. And you
That's
can
really
still
good.
get approvals through underwriting with soft credit. The only time we'll do a hard credit is when we're ready to lock, and then we're going to pull in the real score. Like, well, I shouldn't say real score. We have to pull a hard credit to lock. It's a requirement.
Right,
So,
of course, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
Good.
good stuff.
yeah, really good, Mike. You're pocket full of information. There's no doubt
Always,
about that.
We
always.
should do podcasts.
Yeah, no, I keep saying I'm all set up in my office to do that. I just haven't pulled that trigger. I have to do that.
We have
I have a
we have
green screen. I haven't used once.
we have a podcast studio in the office. And,
Oh, nice.
So
We should do one every week.
All right.
Start firing some stuff out.
I love it.
Yeah.
Come on by.
Which office?
The one in Chester.
All right.
So as we're winding down the day, does anyone have anything coming up this week that they want to promote or talk about, or events that we should say hey? And I know in Warwick we have the Fireman's Carnival coming up this week, and they have fireworks at the end of that.
Well, we were talking about for Orange County, there's the Food Truck and Fireworks Festival, which is July 3rd, 5 to 10 p.m. That's in Port Jervis. And we have the Town of Wallkill fireworks presentation. That's at the Wallkill Golf Course, which is in Middletown.
I was going to say, is that close to you?
Yeah, it's up by the Pine Bush exit.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, it's that one. And they host its annual fireworks on July 3rd. The evening includes music, the DJ, food trucks, all at the golf course. So that's just past the Pine Bush exit.
Nice.
And then Cornwall has one. You want to...
Yeah, July 4th. They're going to have fireworks, and then Legoland as well. By the way, here we are. We're winding
Wrapping
down
up.
our day. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a
Stay
great
tuned
week.
next
Thank
week
you.
for
All right, bye.
the Real Real Estate Show again. All right, we're done. Bye, Chris. Nice to see you online. I don't know how to finish. Oh, how about hit the button?